to my garden. I wanted to just walk about the garden and discuss kitchen garden and design with you today. Now, this is my garden. It is roughly 25 by 25, and it's right outside of my patio door, and I call this a kitchen garden. Now, when you're setting up a kitchen garden, you want to make sure that you're growing things that you actually eat. And like they say in real estate, it's all about location. So your kitchen garden needs to be near the kitchen or at least the kitchen door. So here's a quick look of my general layout. Okay, now first things first. And probably the first thing to consider is, can you get 6 hours of sunlight? It can be full sun, it can be dapple light. There may be times when there's shade, but overall, you want to make sure if you're growing fruits and vegetables and herbs that you can get 6 hours of sunlight. Now, in situations with 6 hours, you can grow shade loving plants, which is common with a fence line. So at my fence line, you'll notice that I'm growing things like ferns that are happy in the shade. And although I do have sun right now, because it's the middle of the day and the sun is right overhead, but I also have hostas. So these are growing along the fence line in shaded areas. The other thing you want to consider, and I also have some of my perennials, like herbs, that tolerate some shade. They are also growing in areas that get a little bit more shade. So they're probably getting exactly 6 hours, whereas the sun areas are closer to 7, possibly 8 hours a day of sun. Okay, so now let's go back over here. And in the case of my rose bush, it is at the fence line, but because it's a climbing rose, it can reach for the sun, and we want to encourage it to reach for the sun. Okay, also here along the house, it's shaded. I added more hostas, which really appreciate the shade. The other thing to consider is access to water. Can your hose reach the garden? Can you water every inch of it? Do you have to carry water? Do you have to haul water? Place your garden in an area that has access to water. Another aspect outside of location is practicality. You want to place your kitchen garden in an area you have access to, an area you will pass by every day. With this being right outside of a door, and I walk my dog, we play in the backyard. So this is a high access area. You wouldn't want to put your garden on top of a hill that you have to climb every day. So you want your kitchen garden to be highly accessible. You want to be able to go out, take care of your plants, and harvest fruits and vegetables in your slippers. Okay? Which brings up another point. Can you easily access your planting area? Do you have safe pathways? So I have a clear path here. I have a clear pathway here. So this garden is laid out in a circle. And I can navigate a full circle, accessing every plant and every bed, every container, without climbing over anything. Now, normally, this is a pathway here, but I'm keeping my dog out, so I have blocked that pathway. Also here, I can't access this area, but the hosta has grown really big. I can make it a full pathway simply by dividing the hosta up, but I choose to just sliver on through. And if you're an older person, you might want to consider vertical growing. So in this case, I have a vertical planter where I keep my leafy green vegetables. I have elevated raised beds where I can work at waist height. And here you see I have spinach. Here I have leafy greens, and these are things that I would probably harvest every day. Leafy greens, spinach. I have my strawberries here at shoulder height down to about knee height. These are things during their season you would come out and harvest frequently. I have herbs in containers at my knee height so I don't have to bend all the way down, but they will grow up to waist height. So I have some sage here, and I have some very sad rosemary. But in a couple of months, these will grow out beautifully. Okay. So some of the beds that are really low to the ground are the potatoes. So I'm bending down to plant, and then I'll be bending down to harvest. So it isn't a raised bed. It's not like I'm going all the way down to the ground. And I do believe my raised beds are anywhere from 12 to 17 inches. So raised beds, a raised bed here, and a raised bed here. Okay, so you want to make it practical. I also put in structure that makes gardening easier. So soon I will have a tomato indeterminate, so I have the cage ready to go. Over there, I will be growing pole beans, so I have the poles and the strings ready to go. In this case here, right over here, I put extra radishes. Now I could have grown them down in the pot here, but this is higher. This is at my hip height, so I prefer to put it in a container, and they're growing nicely. One last point about practicality: start small and grow into your garden. Don't grow more than you can manage and care for. Then gardening is no longer fun. So start small and then grow into the space. You can always add on. And so that brings us to the next point. To improve function and practicality in your garden, you want to grow your fruits, vegetables, herbs, and flowers in the same area. So I've confined everything to my garden here, which is 25 feet by 25 feet. I did extend over to the patio, but the goal is to create a setting where my fruits, flowers, vegetables, and herbs will grow together, attracting pollinators and disguising tender plants. And so basically, by having your garden condensed, you're creating a polyculture. Now, there is so much left to go in. There are some voids in my garden. It is very early in my season. I'm in zone 5. I have roughly 167 growing days, but I extend it to about 180 days by using winter sowing and growing early under cover, frost cover. So I just want to give you a quick look. So here's some examples of my vertical growing. I do have one more over here. Of course, tomatoes are always grown vertically. My pole beans will be grown vertically. And I do a lot of rotating. So here I'm starting with spinach. When the spinach starts to bolt, I will put green beans. Okay, I have some carrots here with radishes, with onions. I also have a little marigold coming in here. I have some Swiss chard. I will be planting in tomatoes, and I have oregano. So I have a lot going on in this one bed. Also referred to as polyculture, when you grow a lot of things together to hide your plants from the pests and to attract pollinators where they need to do the work of pollinating. Okay. I also have a little polyculture going on in my vertical tower. I have some strawberries on the top. Strawberries do not have to be pollinated by insects, they can be wind pollinated, and it's very windy out here. And then the rest of the tower is leafy green vegetables. So when you design your kitchen garden, you want to take in consideration the location for sun and water, practicality. Is it a place you're willing to go to every day? Do you have to climb a hill? Is there water accessible? Do you have a clear way of navigating? If you're an older person, is the pathway accessible for you? Are things at a height where you can work with them easily? Also, in your design, growing things together, you get more things into one space and you can do double duty in one bed. The other thing with double duty, my pathways, they seem a bit large. I could probably stick in more beds or containers, but my pathways, because they are wood mulch, they're a source of highly nutrient mulch. And I actually grow mushrooms in the pathway. These aren't mushrooms I'm eating, but these are mushrooms to promote microbial life within my soil. I also would encourage you, for the sake of practicality, to just have a place to rest in the shade so that when you get tired or you need a break, that you can actually sit down and enjoy your garden. The other thing is to, it's a space you're going to work in. You might as well enjoy it. Create some moments of beauty, putting garden statues, planting flowers out, some ornamentation. You want to make it a place where you are willing to come out and care for your garden. It should be a place of joy, a place of peace, and a place of function. You want to be able to produce your own vegetables in your backyard. So, thank you for joining me in the garden. Have an amazing day. I'm just going to collect for myself a quick salad to go with my lunch. And here you have it. This is my salad for today. I have some lettuce, some butter crunch. I think I'm also going to add some bunching onions, which are right over here. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near.